Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day. I'm going to share something with you that if you truly grasp it, will change how you do everything. From the moment you walk out of this room, the way you think, the way you act, the way you challenge in life will transform. The first step in this transformation is your mindset. What you believe about yourself, about your capabilities, and about the world shapes every single action you take. If you believe you're stuck, if you believe you're not enough, then guess what? You'll stay stuck. But shift that mindset and you unlock unlimited possibilities. Everything you do stems from the way you think. If you change your thinking, you will change your entire reality. But thinking alone is not enough. Emotion is the force that drives all human action. Have you ever noticed how much more you get done when you're inspired or excited? That's because emotion creates motion. You have to learn to manage your emotions, to use them as fuel instead of letting them control you. Master your emotions and you will master your destiny. Now let's talk about standards. Too many people live their lives with low standards and they wonder why they aren't living the life they want. It's not enough to dream, you have to raise your standards. Decide what you are no longer willing to accept. And then act on it. Success isn't about doing more of the same, it's about demanding more from yourself. Decisions are what shape your future, not your circumstances. Every major shift in your life starts with a decision. It's not the big, dramatic decisions that define your life, it's the small, consistent ones. Every day you're deciding whether to stay where you are or move toward where you want to be. And remember, indecision is still a decision, it's a decision to stay stuck. Action is key. Knowing something isn't enough. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't act on it, it's worthless. You've heard the phrase, knowledge is power, but that's a lie. Knowledge is only potential power. Applied knowledge is where the real power lies. It's the actions you take every day that create the results you experience. And here's the thing, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. To see real change, you have to break the pattern. We are creatures of habit, and habits are just patterns of behavior. If you want to change your life, you must consciously break old patterns and replace them with new, empowering routines. Whether it's in your career, your relationships, your health, shift your habits, and you'll shift your reality. Finally, once you make that change, you have to build momentum. Momentum is the force that turns a small push into an unstoppable force. It's not about just starting strong, it's about keeping the pace and pushing forward, even when the initial excitement wears off. Momentum will carry you further than motivation ever could. After today, you'll never approach your life the same way again. You will think differently, act differently, and ultimately get different results. Remember, your life changes the moment you make a new decision, take new action, and create new habits. This is the day everything changes if you decide to make it so, will you? Everything begins with how you think. Your mindset is the invisible force that shapes your reality. It's the lens through which you see the world, yourself, and what's possible. Most people go through life unaware that their thoughts are creating their circumstances. They blame the outside world, the economy, their boss, their upbringing without realizing the real battle is happening inside their own mind. You see, your mindset dictates your perception, and your perception becomes your reality. If you believe the world is full of opportunities, you'll find them. But if you believe the world is full of limitations, all you'll see are roadblocks. It's not about what's happening around you, it's about what's happening inside of you. Your mind is the filter through which everything passes. Change the filter and the entire picture changes. Now let's talk about the power of beliefs. Your beliefs are what create your mindset. They are the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. If you believe you're destined for greatness, that belief will guide your actions, decisions, and ultimately your results. But if you believe you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not worthy enough, those limiting beliefs will hold you back, even if every external opportunity is laid at your feet. The truth is, most people's minds are wired for survival, not success. Our brains are designed to protect us, to keep us safe from pain and discomfort. This is why so many people get stuck in patterns of fear and doubt. They choose to stay in their comfort zone because their mindset is built on scarcity and fear. But the comfort zone is a prison. It might feel safe, but it's also where dreams go to die. If you want to change your life, you have to challenge the beliefs that are keeping you trapped. Here's the secret: your mindset is not fixed. It's flexible, adaptable, and you can shape it. The way you think is a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed. But it takes conscious effort. You have to start by becoming aware of the thoughts that dominate your mind. What are the automatic stories you're telling yourself when you face a challenge? Do you immediately think, I can't, or do you look for solutions when you encounter a setback? Do you give up, or do you see it as an opportunity to grow? Once you start to recognize these patterns, you can break them. It all starts with the decision to adopt a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities, intelligence, and potential can be developed. With this mindset, failure isn't the end, it's just feedback. Challenges aren't something to be avoided, they're opportunities to learn, and obstacles aren't permanent, they're just temporary detours on the path to success. When you cultivate a growth mindset, everything changes. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you begin to ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of seeing problems, you start seeing problems, you start seeing possibilities. And most importantly, you stop letting fear control your decisions. Fear will always be there, but with the right mindset, it no longer holds you back. It's not just about thinking positively, it's about thinking strategically. A powerful mindset doesn't ignore reality, it reframes it. It doesn't pretend everything is easy, it prepares you to handle the hard things. It's about training your mind to focus on solutions, to see opportunity in adversity, and to believe that you are capable of overcoming anything that comes your way. So if you want to change how you do everything, it starts here, it starts in your mind. When you master your mindset, you master your life. And the best part, this is something you have control over right now. You don't need anyone's permission to change the way you think. You don't need the perfect circumstances. You just need to decide today that you are no longer going to allow limiting beliefs to run your life. From this moment forward, you get to choose your thoughts. You get to decide what you believe is possible for you. And when you change those beliefs, you'll watch as everything around you begins to change as well. Emotion is the driving force behind every decision you make, every action you take, and every result you get in life. While many people believe they're making rational, logical choices, the truth is, emotion is the fuel behind those choices. It's what gives your actions energy, intensity, and purpose. If you can harness the power of your emotions, you can create extraordinary results. But if you allow your emotions to control you, you'll find yourself reacting to life rather than shaping it. Think about this. How many times have you known exactly what you needed to do, but you didn't follow through? It wasn't because you lacked knowledge. It wasn't because you didn't have the resources. It was because your emotions weren't aligned with the action. When you're feeling inspired, confident, or passionate, you act decisively, don't you? But when fear, doubt, or uncertainty creeps in, even the simplest tasks can feel overwhelming. This is why understanding and leveraging your emotions is so critical. Emotions are the difference between someone who dreams and someone who dreams and someone who acts. They are the key to unlocking your potential and achieving at the highest level. And here's the powerful truth: you can control your emotions. You can decide how you feel in any given moment. Most people don't realize this. They think emotions are something that happened to them. But emotions are created by the way you think, the way you move, and the way you think. Let's break this down. First, your emotions are heavily influenced by your thoughts. What you focus on determines how you feel. If you focus on all the things going wrong in your life, you'll feel stressed, anxious, maybe even defeated. But if you shift your focus to what's going right, to the opportunities ahead, to the lessons you're learning, you'll feel hopeful, energized, and ready to take action. The same situation can create totally different emotions, depending on how you choose to think about it. This is why managing your focus is so important. When you find yourself caught in negative emotions, ask yourself, what am I focusing on right now? Chances are you're focusing on a worst-case scenario or something out of your control. But when you shift your focus to something empowering, to what you can control, you instantly change your emotional state. Now, your physiology also plays a massive role in your emotions. The way you move your body affects how you feel. Have you ever noticed how hard it is to feel confident when you're slouched over with shallow breathing and a low energy level? Your body is sending signals to your brain that you're in a low state, but if you stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with energy, it's almost impossible to feel down or defeated. This is why high performers are so intentional about their body language and energy. They understand that by changing their physiology, they can instantly shift their emotional state. The next time you feel stuck or low, instead of trying to think your way out of it, get up and move. Go for a walk, stretch, do something to get the energy flowing through your body. You'll be amazed at how quickly your emotions can change simply by changing how you're using your body. Finally, let's talk about language. The words you use, both out loud and in your head, shape your emotions. If you tell yourself, this is impossible, or I'm terrible at this, you're going to feel defeated. But if you shift your language to something empowering, like this is challenging, but I'll figure it out, or I'm getting better every day, your emotional state will follow suit. Words have the power to lift you up or tear you down. And the language you use consistently will create the emotional patterns that drive your life. So how do you begin leveraging the power of your emotions? First, you have to become aware of them. Most people aren't even aware of the emotions that are driving their actions. They're on autopilot, reacting to the world around them without realizing they can take control. The first step is to notice what you're feeling throughout the day. When you feel a strong emotion, whether it's fear, excitement, frustration, or joy, pause and ask yourself, what am I focusing on? How am I focusing on? How am I moving? What words am I using right now? Once you're aware of what's triggering your emotions, you can start to shift them. If you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed, change your focus. Ask yourself better questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Ask, what's great about this situation? What can I learn here? Change your physiology, stand up, breathe deeply, and move with purpose. And change your language, choose words that inspire and empower you, not words that limit or diminish you. When you learn to direct your emotions instead of letting them direct you, your entire experience of life changes. You'll find that you have more energy, more drive, and more resilience. You'll be able to take on challenges with confidence because you're no longer at the mercy of negative emotional patterns. Instead, you're using the powerful force of emotion to propel you toward your goals. Emotion is what brings life to your vision. It's the difference between a dream that fades away and a dream that becomes reality. When you tap into the right emotional states like passion, excitement, gratitude, and confidence, you become unstoppable. You move faster, think clearer, and make better decisions. And that's when the real magic happens, because when you can consistently bring the right emotions to your actions, there's nothing you can't achieve. The quality of your life is determined by the standards you set for yourself. Everything, your relationships, your career, your health, your happiness is a reflection of the standards you hold. Most people never realize this, and they wonder why they're stuck in the same patterns, facing the same problems year after year. The truth is, if you want to change your life, you must first raise your standards. What do I mean by standards? Your standards are the expectations you have for what you will and will tolerate in your life. They are the baseline you set for how you show up, how you treat yourself, and what you demand from the world. If you have low standards, you'll accept mediocrity. You'll settle for less than you're capable of. You'll allow excuses, procrastination, and distractions to rule your life. But when you raise your standards, you change the game. You no longer accept anything less than the best from yourself and from those around you. Think about this. Everyone has a certain standard for how they live. Some people are committed to being in great shape, so they have standards around their fitness and health. They work out regularly, eat clean, and take care of their bodies because they've decided that's who they are. Others might say they want to be fit, but their standards tell a different story. They skip workouts, make excuses, and indulge in unhealthy habits. It's not because they lack the desire to be healthy, it's because their standards aren't high enough to compel them to take action. The same is true in every area of life. If you've ever wondered why some people achieve so much while others struggle, it's not because of luck or talent. It's because of the standards they've set. High achievers have a standard of excellence that drives them to push beyond what's comfortable, to do what others won't, and to refuse to settle for less than their full potential. They don't let themselves off the hook. They don't make excuses. They hold themselves to a higher level of accountability. But here's the thing, raising your standards isn't just about expecting more from yourself, it's about expecting more from your environment. Who you surround yourself with, the work you engage in, the habits you maintain, all play a role in the standards you live by. If you're constantly around people who are negative, who settle for mediocrity, who don't challenge themselves, it's easy to fall into the same pattern. You become the average of the standards of the people around you. If you want to raise your standards, you may need to make some tough decisions about the company you keep and the environments you allow yourself to be in.
Your standards define what you believe you deserve in life. If you believe you deserve wealth, success, and happiness, you'll work toward those things, and you won't settle for less.
But if you believe you're only worth a certain level of success or that you can only achieve so much, then you'll cap your own potential. You'll subconsciously hold yourself back because your standards are keeping you trapped. What's incredible, though, is that you can raise your standards at any time. You can decide right now that you're no longer going to settle for average. You can make the decision that you are going to demand more from yourself and your life. But raising your standards is more than just saying you want something better. It's about committing to it. It's about aligning your actions with your new expectations and refusing to compromise. For example, if you raise your standards around your finances, that means you no longer tolerate being broke or in debt. You commit to learning how to manage your money, to save, to invest, and to grow your wealth. You set a new baseline for what financial success looks like in your life, and you don't settle for less. Or if you raise your standards in your relationships, that means you no longer tolerate toxic behavior, dishonesty, or lack of growth. You demand more from the people in your life and from yourself, and you're willing to make the changes necessary to create better, more fulfilling relationships. Raising your standards isn't easy. It requires you to face uncomfortable truths about where you've been playing small or where you've allowed yourself to get too comfortable. It forces you to confront your own limitations, and it challenges you to rise above them. But this is where real growth happens. When you raise your standards, you're forced to step into a new version of yourself. You're no longer the person who accepts excuses or tolerates mediocrity. You become someone who expects excellence and takes the actions necessary to achieve it. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means you have to be committed. You have to be willing to consistently push yourself to reach higher, to do better, and to expect more from every area of your life. And when you raise your standards, something amazing happens. The world begins to rise to meet them. Opportunities open up that you never saw before. People start treating you differently because they can sense that you have a higher expectation for yourself and your life. You attract different circumstances because you're operating at a higher level. But here's the key: raising your standards isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifelong commitment to growth and improvement. The standards you set today might serve you for a while, but eventually you'll need to raise them again if you want to keep growing. Every new level of success requires a new level of standards. What got you here won't get you there. As you achieve more, your standards must evolve with you. So if you're not where you want to be in life, ask yourself, what are the standards I've been living by? Have I been accepting less than I'm capable of? Have I been letting myself off the hook when I know I could be doing more? And most importantly, what new standards am I ready to commit to? Remember, your life will never rise higher than the standards you set. Raise them and everything changes. Lower them and you stay stuck. The choice is yours. Your entire life is shaped by the decisions you make. Every moment of every day, you're making decisions, both big and small, that are creating your future. What most people don't realize is just how much power each decision holds. It's not just the major, life-changing decisions like where to work, who to marry, or where to live. It's also the small, seemingly insignificant decisions that you make on a daily basis that determine the trajectory of your life. Your decisions are the building blocks of your destiny. Think about it, every habit, every routine, every pattern of behavior you have is the result of a series of decisions. Deciding to hit the snooze button instead of getting up early to work on your goals. Deciding to eat that junk food instead of sticking to your healthy plan. Deciding to put off that important task because it feels uncomfortable. Each of these choices might seem minor in the moment, but when compounded over time, they shape the person you become and the life you live. The truth is, where you are today is the result of the decisions you made yesterday. And where you'll be tomorrow will be determined by the decisions you make today. This is the power of decision that gives you control over your future. You can decide right now to create a new path for yourself. You can decide to stop settling, to stop playing small, and to start moving toward the life you truly want. But it all starts with a decision. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in life is because they're afraid to make decisions. They get paralyzed by fear, overthinking every possible outcome, and as a result, they make no decision at all. But what they don't realize is that indecision is in itself a decision. When you choose not to decide, you're deciding to stay in the same place. You're deciding to let life happen to you instead of taking control and shaping it the way you want. Every decision you make moves you either towards your goals or away from them. There's no neutral ground. So the question you need to ask yourself is, are the decisions I'm making today leading me toward the life I want, or are they keeping me stuck? If you're not where you want to be, it's because you've been making decisions that are out of alignment with your true desires. But the good news is, you can change that right now. You can decide in this moment to start making different choices. The power of decision lies in its ability to create momentum. Once you make a firm decision, everything starts to move in that direction. Opportunities appear, resources align, and doors open that you never saw before. But it's important to understand that a real decision is not just a wish or a hope. It's not saying, I'd like to change, or I hope things get better. A real decision is when you cut off all other possibilities and commit fully to one course of action. The word decide comes from the Latin root decidere, which means to cut off. When you make a true decision, you cut off any other option. There's no turning back. Think of the most successful people you know or have heard about. What sets them apart is their ability to make decisive, committed choices, even when the outcome is uncertain. They don't get stuck in analysis paralysis. They trust themselves and take action, knowing that no decision is perfect, but that they can adjust and adapt along the way. The willingness to decide and take bold action is what separates the achievers from the dreamers. But making a decision doesn't mean you'll always get it right. Sometimes you'll make the wrong decision. But here's the thing, even a wrong decision can lead you to the right path if you're willing to learn from it. Every decision you make gives you feedback. If you make a mistake, you can adjust course. The only way to truly fail is to not decide at all, to stay in the same place, doing the same things and expecting different results. The most powerful decisions are often the ones that feel the hardest to make. They require you to step outside your comfort zone, to face uncertainty, and to take risks. But that's where real growth happens. If you want to change your life, you have to make decisions that stretch you, that challenge you, and that force you to become more than you've been. Easy decisions keep you comfortable, but bold decisions transform your life. There's another critical aspect to decision making, the speed at which you make them. Successful people understand that speed matters. They don't wait for perfect conditions or all the information. They gather enough information to make an informed choice, and then they move forward. Speed in decision making creates momentum, and momentum is what carries you towards success. On the other hand, hesitation and delay create stagnation, and stagnation kills dreams. That doesn't mean you should be reckless, but it does mean you can't wait for certainty. Certainty is an illusion. There will always be risks, there will always be risks, there will always be unknowns. But you can either let those uncertainties paralyze you, or you can decide to move forward despite them. The most successful people in any field are those who take massive, decisive action in the face of uncertainty. They trust that they can handle whatever comes next, and they adjust as they go. Here's the bottom line: your decisions shape your destiny. Not your circumstances, not your background, not your past. It's the decisions you make moment to moment that determine the course of your life. And the most important decision you can make is the decision to take full responsibility for your life. When you stop blaming others, when you stop making excuses, and when you decide to take control, everything changes.
From this moment on, you can decide to raise your standards. You can decide to let go of limiting beliefs. You can decide to take bold action toward your goals. You can decide to stop waiting for the perfect time or the perfect time or the perfect conditions.
The power to create the life you want is in your hands, and it all starts with a single decision.
So what will you decide today? Because the decisions you make now will shape the life you live tomorrow. Choose wisely, choose boldly, and most importantly, choose to live on your terms. Knowing what to do is important, but it's not enough. Having dreams and goals is crucial, but it's not enough. Reading, learning, planning, none of it means anything without one essential ingredient: action. Action is what separates those who achieve from those who only wish. It's the difference between a life of potential and a life of results. No matter how much knowledge or inspiration you have, it's action that brings it all to life. If you want real change, real progress, real success, it all boils down to one thing: taking action. Most people think they're waiting for the perfect moment. They convince themselves they'll act once they have more information, more time, or more certainty. But here's the truth: there will never be a perfect moment. There will always be some level of risk, some level of discomfort, some level of doubt. The people who succeed in life are the ones who take action in spite of uncertainty. They understand that waiting for the perfect conditions is just another form of procrastination. Action is what creates clarity. You don't need to have everything figured out before you start. In fact, you can't figure everything out before you start. Some things only become clear through the process of doing. The steps you take will reveal new insights, new opportunities, and sometimes new challenges. But none of that can happen if you stay stuck in planning mode. You don't have to see the entire staircase to take the first step. You just have to take that first step and trust that the path will unfold as you go. But here's the catch: not all action is created equal. It's not just about being busy. Too many people mistake movement for progress. They think because they're doing something, even if it's insignificant, they're making headway. But busy work isn't the same as productive action. Productive action is intentional. It's aligned with your highest goals and priorities. It's focused on what will move the needle, what will push you forward, what will make a real difference. You need to ask yourself, what actions can I take right now that will have the greatest impact? It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. Most people spend their time on low leverage activities, the things that are easy or urgent, but not necessarily important. But high achievers focus on high leverage activities, the things that might be challenging or uncomfortable, but that will produce the most significant results. Another key to action is consistency. One big action won't change your life, but a series of small, consistent actions will. Success is rarely about doing one monumental thing. It's about doing the right things day in and day out, even when it's not glamorous or exciting. The compound effect of daily action is what creates long-term transformation. It's easy to get motivated in the moment, to take a burst of action when you're feeling inspired, but real progress comes from sustained effort over time. Consistency doesn't mean you won't face setbacks. In fact, action almost guarantees you will face challenges, but that's where most people stop. They hit a roadblock and they let it derail their progress. They tell themselves, maybe it's not meant to be, or I'll try again later, but the truth is, setbacks are a natural part of the journey. They're not signs to stop. They're opportunities to adjust and grow. The people who succeed are those who keep taking action even when it gets tough, even when it doesn't go as planned. They persist, they adapt, and they keep moving forward. Now let's talk about the power of massive action. Small, consistent steps are essential, but sometimes you need to take a bold leap. Massive action is about going all in. It's about committing fully, burning the boats, and leaving no room for retreat. When you take massive action, you create momentum that's impossible to ignore. You break through the barriers of fear, doubt, and hesitation, and you signal to yourself and the world that you are serious about achieving your goals. Massive action also creates breakthroughs. If you've ever been stuck in a rut, feeling like you're spinning your wheels but not making real progress, it's likely because you've been taking safe, predictable actions. But breakthroughs happen when you push yourself beyond your comfort zone, when you do the things that scare you, the things that require risk, the things that have the potential for both failure and massive success. The beauty of action is that it builds confidence. Most people think they need confidence before they act, but it's actually the other way around. Confidence comes from taking action, from proving to yourself that you can handle challenges, that you can figure things out, that you're capable of achieving what you set out to do. Each step you take, each obstacle you overcome adds to your belief in yourself. And the more you believe in yourself, the more action you'll take. It's a positive cycle that builds momentum over time. But here's where many people get stuck. They overthink. They spend so much time analyzing and debating their options that they end up paralyzed. They think, what if this isn't the right move, or what if I fail? But the truth is, you don't need to know everything to get started. You don't need to have the perfect plan. What you need is to take action and be willing to course correct as you go. The only failure is in not trying. Every action you take is either a success or a lesson. Both will get you closer to your goal. Action is also the antidote to fear. Fear thrives in inaction. The longer you wait, the bigger your fears become. But the moment you start taking action, even if it's a small step, you begin to take control. You prove to yourself that fear doesn't have to dictate your life. Every time you act in spite of fear, you weaken its hold on you. Over time, what once seemed terrifying becomes manageable, and eventually it becomes easy. Finally, action creates opportunities. When you sit on the sidelines waiting for the perfect moment, opportunities pass you by. But when you take action, you put yourself in motion and new opportunities begin to appear. People notice when you're moving. Doors open that would have stayed closed if you hadn't taken that first step. Action attracts resources, connections, and possibilities that you couldn't have anticipated from a standstill. In the end, it all comes down to this. If you want to change your life, you have to act. You have to get out of your head. Stop waiting, stop hesitating, and start doing. It's not enough to have the vision, the plan, or the desire. It's the actions you take every day consistently with intention and purpose that will turn your dreams into reality. So stop waiting for the right time, stop waiting for the right conditions, and start taking the actions that will create the life you truly want. Most people live their lives in a cycle of repetition, repeating the same behaviors, making the same choices, and experiencing the same results. They wake up each day, go through the same routines, think the same thoughts, and wonder why nothing ever changes. They're stuck in patterns, often without even realizing it. But here's the reality: if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. If you want a different life, you must break the pattern. A pattern is a set of habits, behaviors, and mindsets that runs automatically. It's the autopilot mode your brain falls into to conserve energy. These patterns are deeply ingrained, and most of them were formed a long time ago, often during childhood, based on your experiences and the beliefs you developed about the world and your place in it. Over time, these patterns become so automatic that you don't even recognize they're there. But they're controlling your life, dictating how you respond to situations, how you interact with others, and what you believe is possible for you. The problem is that most patterns are designed to keep you safe and comfortable, not to help you grow or succeed. They're survival mechanisms, but they don't serve your higher goals. If you want to break through to a new level in any area of your life, whether it's your health, your relationships, your career, or your mindset, you have to identify and disrupt the patterns that are holding you back. Breaking a pattern starts with awareness. You can't change what you don't recognize. Most people are so used to their patterns that they don't even see them. They think the way they react to stress, the way they procrastinate, or the way they self-sabotage is just who they are. But these behaviors are not who you are, they're habits you've learned, they're patterns you've fallen into. And once you realize that, you have the power to change them. Start by looking at the results you're getting in your life. Are you where you want to be? If not, ask yourself what behaviors, thoughts, or beliefs are keeping you stuck. Patterns are often hidden in the excuses you make, the stories you tell yourself, or the ways you avoid discomfort. Maybe you have a pattern of giving up when things get hard. Maybe you have a pattern of avoiding conflict, of seeking validation from others, or of distracting yourself from your goals with unproductive habits. Whatever it is, the first step is to recognize it. Once you've identified the pattern, the next step is to disrupt it. Patterns are comfortable, even when they don't serve you, because they're familiar. Your brain craves certainty, and it will resist change. But to break the pattern, you have to introduce something new, something that shakes up the routine. You have to take actions that are out of alignment with the old pattern. For example, if you have a pattern of procrastination, breaking it might mean forcing yourself to start working on a task immediately, even if it's uncomfortable. If you have a pattern of negative self-talk, breaking it means consciously replacing those thoughts with positive affirmations, even if it feels awkward at first. The key is to do something different. Patterns thrive on repetition, so disrupting the pattern requires you to step outside of your usual behaviors and challenge the automatic responses that have kept you stuck. But here's the thing: breaking a pattern is not a one-time event. It's not enough to disrupt the pattern once and expect everything to change. Patterns are persistent, and they'll try to pull you back into your old ways of thinking and behaving. That's why breaking the pattern requires consistency. You have to be committed to doing the new behavior over and over and over again until it becomes the new pattern. This is where most people struggle. They try something new for a day or a week, and when they don't see immediate results, they give up. But real change doesn't happen overnight. It happens through repetition and persistence. The brain is wired for efficiency, and it will always try to default to the easiest, most familiar path. That's why in the beginning, breaking a pattern feels hard. It feels uncomfortable. It requires effort. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Over time, the new behavior starts to feel natural, and the old pattern begins to lose its power. Another important part of breaking the pattern is changing your environment. Your environment plays a huge role in reinforcing your patterns. If you're surrounded by people, situations, or influences that encourage your old behaviors, it will be much harder to break free. You have to create an environment that supports the new patterns you're trying to establish. That might mean spending less time with certain people, changing your daily routine, or removing distractions that keep you stuck in the old pattern. If you see yourself as someone who is stuck, who can't change, who is destined to repeat the same mistakes, then no amount of action will lead to lasting change. But if you begin to see yourself as someone who is constantly growing, evolving, and capable of achieving more, your actions will start to reflect that belief. Another powerful way to break a pattern is through emotion. Emotions are the fuel that drives behavior. If you're stuck in a pattern, it's because there's an emotional payoff, even if it's a negative one. Maybe the pattern gives you a sense of certainty or comfort, even if it's holding you back. To break the pattern, you have to associate massive pain with continuing the old behavior and massive pleasure with adopting the new one. You have to get emotionally connected to why breaking this pattern is a must for you. When you tie emotion to your new actions, it becomes easier to sustain them. You'll be less likely to revert to the old pattern because you've created a strong emotional reason to stick with the new behavior. That's why people often make major life changes after experiencing a significant emotional event, a breakup, a health scare, the loss of a loved one. Those events create such a strong emotional impact that they disrupt the old patterns and force people to change. But you don't have to wait for a crisis to create change. You can generate that emotional leverage yourself by focusing on the pain of staying stuck and the pleasure of breaking free. At the end of the day, breaking the pattern is about taking control of your life. It's about recognizing that you are not your habits, your past, or your limitations. You are the creator of your future, and you have the power to change anything in your life if you're willing to break the cycle of repetition and do something different. It won't always be easy, and it won't always be comfortable, but the rewards are worth it. When you break the pattern, you open the door to new possibilities. You stop living on autopilot and start living intentionally. You take back control of your destiny and create a life that aligns with your true potential. It's not just about changing your behaviors, it's about transforming who you are and what you believe is possible for you. Momentum is the force that drives progress. It's what turns small, consistent actions into massive results. Momentum is the difference between a goal that remains just a dream and a goal that becomes reality. It's what takes your efforts and amplifies them, moving you towards success faster than you thought possible. But momentum doesn't just happen on its own, it has to be created. And once you have it, you have to keep feeding it to ensure it keeps growing. The most powerful thing about momentum is that it takes the hardest part of any journey getting started and turns it into your greatest asset. Think of a rocket launching into space. The initial phase of liftoff, where the most energy is required, is the toughest. But once it breaks through the atmosphere, momentum takes over and the rocket speeds up with less resistance. In life, it's the same way. The beginning is the hardest part because you're fighting inertia. You're battling years of old habits, comfort zones, and self-doubt. But once you break through and start to build momentum, things begin to flow more easily. It's no longer about forcing yourself to take action. It becomes about riding the wave of energy you've created. Momentum is built through action. It doesn't come from thinking, planning, or waiting. It comes from doing. Too many people wait for the perfect conditions before they act. They want everything to line up, to feel ready, to have all the answers. But momentum doesn't come from perfection, it comes from progress. It comes from taking that first step, even when you don't feel ready, even when the path isn't fully clear. Once you start moving, even if it's a small step, you begin to generate momentum. And the beauty of momentum is that it compounds. Small actions taken consistently build on each other and create exponential growth. What starts as a single step turns into a powerful force that propels you forward. Think of it like pushing a car. At first, it takes a lot of effort to get the car moving, but once it's rolling, it requires much less energy to keep it going. The same is true in your life. The initial push is tough, but once you've started, it becomes easier and easier to keep moving forward. But here's the catch: momentum can work for you or against you. Positive momentum is built by taking action toward your goals, by making decisions that align with your vision, and by continuously moving forward, even when it's hard. Negative momentum, on the other hand, is built by inaction, by procrastination, and by allowing setbacks to stop you. Every choice you make is either building positive momentum or feeding the negative. There's no neutral ground, so if you're not where you want to be, it's likely because you've been building negative momentum. The key is to recognize that and make a conscious decision to reverse the tide. Reversing negative momentum starts with small, intentional actions. If you've been stuck in a rut, the idea of creating momentum can feel overwhelming. But it doesn't take a massive overhaul to get started. It takes one small step. That first action might be as simple as making a phone call, writing down a plan, or committing to a new habit. The important thing is to take a step, no matter how small, and then build on it.
Each small victory creates a sense of accomplishment and fuels the next step. Over time, those small wins add up and start to generate the positive momentum you need to move forward.
Consistency is key when it comes to building and maintaining momentum. It's not enough to take action once or twice and expect things to change. Momentum is built through repetition. It's the result of doing the right things day in and day out, even when it's not exciting, even when you don't feel like it. Think of it like pushing a boulder up a hill. If you stop pushing for too long, the boulder rolls back down and you lose all the progress you've made. But if you keep pushing consistently, even if it's just a little bit each day, you'll eventually reach the top, and the momentum will carry you forward. One of the biggest killers of momentum is indecision. When you hesitate, when you overthink, when you delay action, you stall the progress you've made. Momentum thrives on decisive action. The more quickly you can make decisions and move forward, the more momentum you'll generate. This doesn't mean you should be reckless, but it does mean that you can't afford to get stuck in analysis paralysis. Successful people understand that speed is a competitive advantage. They gather the information they need, make a decision, and take action. They know that even if they make the wrong decision, they can adjust course as they go. What matters most is keeping the momentum alive. Another important aspect of momentum is focus. You can't create momentum if you're constantly switching directions or chasing too many goals at once. Momentum comes from sustained effort in one direction. It's about narrowing your focus and putting all your energy into the things that matter most. When you spread yourself too thin, your efforts become diluted and you lose the power of momentum. But when you focus on one goal, one project, one area of your life, you can create a powerful force that propels you forward faster than you ever thought possible. Energy is another critical component of momentum. To keep moving forward, you need to manage your energy effectively. This means taking care of your body, mind, and emotions so that you have the fuel to sustain your actions. You can't build momentum if you're constantly exhausted, stressed, or burned out. That's why it's so important to take time to recharge, to nourish yourself, and to protect your energy. High achievers understand that energy management is just as important as time management. They know that the more energy they have, the more action they can take, and the more momentum they can build. Another secret to creating momentum is leveraging your environment. Surround yourself with people, places, and influences that support your goals. When you're around people who are moving in the same direction, their energy and momentum can fuel your own. Conversely, if you're around people who are stuck, negative, or complacent, their lack of momentum can drag you down. Your environment has a huge impact on your ability to build and sustain momentum. So be intentional about who and what you surround yourself with. Seek out environments that inspire you, challenge you, and push you to keep moving forward. Once you've created momentum, your job is to protect it at all costs. The moment you stop taking action, you risk losing the momentum you've worked so hard to build. This doesn't mean you have to be constantly working or grinding.
It means you need to stay engaged with your goals, stay focused on the next step, and keep the energy moving. Even on days when you can't take massive action, you can take small steps to keep the momentum alive.
It's about keeping the wheels turning, no matter how fast or slow. Momentum also creates a psychological advantage. When you're in motion, when you're making progress, you start to believe in yourself more. You see evidence that your efforts are paying off, and that belief fuels even more action. It becomes a positive feedback loop. Action creates results, results create confidence, and confidence creates more action. This is why momentum is so powerful. It not only accelerates your progress, but it also shifts your mindset. You start to see yourself as someone who can make things happen, and that belief alone propels you further. Momentum doesn't just carry you forward, it attracts opportunities. When you're in motion, when you're making things happen, people notice. Opportunities, resources, and connections start to come your way because you're showing the world that you're serious about your goals. Success loves speed, and when you have momentum on your side, doors open that would have remained closed if you were standing still. You begin to attract the things you need to take your life to the next level. At the end of the day, momentum is one of the most powerful forces you can create in your life. It's what turns your goals from ideas into realities. It's what transforms effort into achievement. And it's what keeps you moving forward, even when the challenges arise. But momentum doesn't happen by accident. It's something you consciously create through action, consistency, focus, and energy. So if you're serious about achieving your dreams, don't wait. Start now, take that first step, and keep building the momentum that will carry you to success. Now is the moment to shift your trajectory. Everything we've covered, mindset, emotion, standards, decisions, action, breaking patterns, and creating momentum are the building blocks for a life of power and fulfillment. This isn't just about improving one area of your life, it's about completely transforming how you show up, how you think, and how you execute on what matters. The greatest force in your life is the power of choice. You can choose to keep living the way you always have, repeating the same patterns, accepting the same results. Or you can decide that today is the day everything changes. You can decide that you will no longer settle for anything less than the best version of yourself. You can make the choice to raise your standards, take massive action, and build momentum that will carry you toward the life you were meant to live. Remember, it's not enough to know what to do, you must do what you know. The decisions you make and the actions you take from this moment forward will determine the quality of your life, so take control. Break free from old patterns, ignite your momentum, and never look back. You have the power, the tools, and the potential to transform everything. The only question left is, are you ready to do it? Because once you decide, nothing will ever be the same.
Now, go out and live the life you were born to create.